what they have decided, they asked me to talk more on the history, the blood pressure measurement, which are very basic things, because these are the where maximum troubles and mistakes takes place. And half the patients are unnecessary treated, half of the patients are missed. And that is much bigger problem rather than deciding which medicine to be given. Also, there are a lot of controversies and guidelines, as you very rightly said. Unlike you orthopedic people, we are unfortunate because you have 10 different options to select. You have fractured, you fix it. That's all. There is very few options. Right now, this is what. This one. Okay, so first thing I'll go for the blood pressure measurement. You know, blood pressure measurement seems to be one of the most simple thing, but very surprisingly, though we routinely do it, it's one of the most difficult and most uncertain things. Now, many years ago, all of you must have heard about Hippocrates because we have that oath. We have forgotten the oath, but at least we remember who gave the oath. And he was the first one to notice that there is something like blood pressure. You know, in old Greece, almost 200-300 years before the Christ, he noticed that some rich people are dying suddenly. Can anyone say why they were dying suddenly? Anyone, except Prakash. You see, in those days, the Greek people, they didn't have salt. Salt was available only in India. And it was very costly to bring salt from India to Greece. So those soldiers who had really done a great job, they were given salt as a price, as a salary. And it was given in equivalent amount to the gold. And salt was considered as costly as gold 3,000 years ago. So only very rich people were able to afford salt and tasty diet, but poor people will never ever know what is salt. And it is the salt, the curse of modern civilization, that causes hypertension and sudden death. So in those days they didn't know how to measure the blood pressure, but they knew that those who eat salt, only rich people, they were dying suddenly. So that was one of the first indirect observation of something like blood pressure, which is now what is very common. Almost 2000 years after that particular notice, Reverend Stephen Halls, the first he measured the blood pressure. You know how he measured the blood pressure? This is how he measured the blood pressure. He put a brass needle, of course a pipe actually, quite crude method, using the gut of duck, and puncture directly the carotid artery of a horse and see how much the blood column goes up. So this is the first assessment and measurement of blood pressure. So not only surgeons, even cardiologists and physicians also butcher like this 20, 30 centuries, 2 or 3 centuries ago. The advantage is you can measure the blood pressure exactly. The disadvantage, you can't treat it because you actually kill the person or the horse rather. But that is what was the first step. And many times when you see any invention or any reward in present days, there were some people who had actually some ingenious ideas. That is what is working. And after almost a few hundred years, one of the Italian doctor, Rivaro, he is the first one who actually measured the present day initial generation sphygmomanometer. And he thought it's a great thing he has done. But again, this was invasive in those days. And you have to actually puncture the artery and then measure how much the blood goes in. So he said it was a little inconvenient. Actually, it was very much uncomfortable to the patient. And in those days, 30 years ago, what was the needles that we are taking and giving in the patient. So you can imagine how difficult it must be in those days. And again, it took a few more years, almost 100 years after that actual present day sphygmomanometer came. Initially it was mercury meter, still the mercury meter is there, but now WHO and other international societies say instead of sphygmomanometer with mercury, it is better to enroll without mercury. So this is considered better rather than the standard conventional mercury meter that we are using. I don't know what is the exact reason, but obviously that mercury is not going to do any poisoning, but that is the main reason why they want to get rid of mercury completely. And one of the people say the blood pressure measurement is clinical procedure of greatest importance, but surprisingly done in most sloppiest fashion. I'll show you examples later on. Now there are a lot of guidelines about which medicine to be used, but there are similarly guidelines about how to measure the blood pressure, and that is what is most underlooked. Actually, once we had Dr. Kaushik, they gave 1 hour lecture on how to measure the blood pressure, and it was quite eye-opening because we measure blood pressure very, very casual way, and we label many patients who have normal pressure as hypertension because they are stressed and you just say hypertension, and vice versa. So ideally you should average 2 to 3 readings and interval 2 to 3 minutes. But in our busy practice, when there are 50 patients waiting outside, you don't have time to do that. So you may not be able to do that. Also, when patient comes rushing in and you take blood pressure, it's wrong. And if you make patient wait for 2 hours in OPD, then also it's wrong. So it's very difficult to be very sure and provide a very tensionless atmosphere in your own clinic. But ideally, it should be done. That's why in Western countries and many of the clinics, it is a nurse or the paramedicals who take blood pressure in other quiet room rather than doctor, because that was definitely white collar blood pressure. Ideally, patients should refrain from smoking, drinking tea, coffee for at least 30 minutes before blood pressure measurement, which we have never asked our patient about. Patients should be waiting at least for 5 minutes in quiet room. Now, I don't think we have quiet OPD, so it's very difficult. If you have quiet OPD, you do good job to patient, but not to yourself. Your OPD has to be full, so that is not really possible. Patients should be ideally sitting on supine position. Of course, when they are admitted, they are sick, we often measure in lying position. But when patient comes the first time, ideally you should take measurement of both the upper limbs, right and left both, and at least in sitting and standing position. That is on the first time, not necessarily each time. That is what we should do. And there is a way how to put the cuff. See, this is how you have to put the arm. It should be resting position. You should not keep hand dangling like this, because that causes stress and causes a problem. Obviously, there should be no tight band or thing. Of course, I would advise patient not to take blood pressure on both hands at the same time in this type of patient. It should be on one side either. You must know where to measure the blood pressure cuff. You should not measure at wrong place, otherwise the blood pressure will not be correct. And as a doctor, you should not be stressed. Patient should not be in a stressful situation. Now, unfortunately, in present I have seen everyone is in a stressful situation. We have forgotten how to be stressless. So I can see only these few people are stressless. That's why they have come here. Otherwise, people are in very much stress. And you think of everything all the time. So, in majority people are at least 2 or 3 stressed at a time. So while you are trying to solve one problem, you are thinking of other problem as well. Like while I was preparing how to lecture, I was thinking how to convert. That is a problem. And patients should not be physically excited while taking or mentally stressed while taking blood pressure, otherwise blood pressure will go up. Another new way is ambulatory blood pressure monitoring. That is not very popular at the moment, but it has some special indication, special advantage. I'll talk to it a little later. The second part I am going to discuss is threshold to blood pressure. What should be the blood pressure limit that we should start treating? Now here also history is something very, very interesting. You will be quite surprised. See, all of you know that presently blood pressure means ideally should be normal blood pressure is less than 130 or 140 by 80. That is normal, rough. There is no need to be too stringent about exact values. But you see what the history in the past says. See, there is almost 1937, Paul Dudley White was one of the leading cardiology in those days. And our Dr. B.T. Dave, I don't know, any of you must not have heard of the name of Dr. B.T. Dave. He was one of the pioneer cardiologists in Baroda, one of the best teacher I have ever seen. He can mimic all the murmurs, and he is the one who has studied under Paul Dudley White in London. So he said in those days that we call blood pressure essential, means there has to be blood pressure, it's the must. So they used the term essential hypertension. It was considered necessary, and he said it's an important compensatory mechanism and we should not tamper with. Because if you try to control it, it causes more harm. That is what was concept about a few years ago. And 1931, another cardiologist said, it's a dangerous to treat the blood pressure. It's dangerous not only the peace of the patient's mind, but to that of doctor also. Because if you unnecessarily try to control it, it causes more harm. So he said, the greatest danger in a man with high blood pressure is that some stupid will try to control it. That is what they said in those days. So they accepted blood pressure of 180, 190, 200 as a compensatory mechanism, as an essential blood pressure, and would not treat except just advising like stressless life and salt restriction. And they consider high hypertension when 200 by 100. Now we consider the hypertension emergencies. In present days, if you go with blood pressure of 90, many physicians will admit you in the hospital and scare you, and that will increase your blood pressure further. But in those days, they consider it a mild hypertension. That is the way the history has changed. And you know what was very common between these three? Hitler was their enemy, that was common. But the important issue is, Eisenhower, he was suffering with high blood pressure, and his blood pressure, they saw the chart, and as the D-Day came near, the blood pressure kept on increasing. And it was about 180 to 200 millimeter on the D-Day. Of course, he still didn't die. He lived for a few years afterward because he was a politician. Because no other person won't tolerate this much blood pressure for so long. You know, Sarakawa, he's tolerating it. So they are different. They are not people actually. But present days, higher the blood pressure, higher the mortality. So that you should know, and that is seen for any age. whatever age you are, as age increases, the blood pressure increases because of natural stiffness in the vessels, and the blood pressure increases. But mortality, morbidity keeps on increasing, male and female, at any age. More the blood pressure, more the risk and complication rate. And it doesn't matter what medicine, it's the control of blood pressure that is more important, because higher the blood pressure, all type of complications, especially acute heart failure, coronary event, stroke, everything, kidney damage, everything increases. I'll go to the ambulatory blood pressure monitoring. The ambulatory blood pressure monitoring is 24-hour blood pressure monitoring. Itself name is misnomer, because half of the time patient is sleeping, but still they call it ambulatory. I don't know why. There must be some reason. Maybe because patient is going away from the hospital, he is ambulatory. But half of the patients are sleeping during the blood pressure measurement. And they say that ambulatory blood pressure monitoring correlates better than the office measured blood pressure regarding complications of the problems. Also, it find out people who are non-dippers, who may have not have drop in the blood pressure night, which is essential. Ideally, your blood pressure must go down during sleep. Then if it doesn't go down, it's a high risk and increases chance to stroke the next day morning. So that type of non-dipper is also detected with the help of ambulatory blood pressure monitoring. So there are a lot of indications. Borderline hypertension, white coat hypertension, and opposite of white coat hypertension, white coat normotension. Many people feel safe in presence of doctor, and their blood pressure is normal when they are clean. The moment they go home, they have to face their wife, and blood pressure is high. So that is one of the cause of essential hypertension. Isolated systolic hypertension, nocturnal blood pressure, resistant hypertension, hypertension of pregnancy, hypotensive symptom. Patients on hypertension, we are giving treatment and symptoms hypotension, but when it comes to clinic, pressure is normal or high. So there are many indications of ambulatory blood pressure monitoring, and you can detect some of the trend in blood pressure pressure. As for example, many times doctor to relieve the patient says, I am not doctor, don't worry, because that will reduce his pressure. The patient says, I am not your patient, I am attorney of a patient. So you try to convince patients, they will convince you the other way. Half of our patients come with Google and other knowledge, and they say what to do. So we have to charge extra when they come with some extra knowledge. So white coat hypertension is really a big issue. You have to say how to reduce the white coat hypertension. See, you can be very friendly to the patient unless they don't feel your pace. That is a different thing. Otherwise, you will be very friendly to the patient. Don't scare the patient. Even if blood pressure is high, don't scare. Of course, our doctors have learned that if you scare patient, they are more ready to come to hospital, get admitted. So they scare them. But ideally, you should not scare them. If you don't scare them, the blood pressure often comes down the moment it's stressed and everything goes down. Don't advise unnecessary admissions. Do not tell patient actual blood pressure is very high. You can tell relatives, but don't tell patient. Otherwise, there's a vicious cycle of stress and hypertension, or mental tension and blood pressure. Home monitoring and ABPM is the real way to detect white coat hypertensions. And when you do ambulatory blood pressure monitoring, it's actually much less, especially sleeping hours compared to awake hypertension. See, normally it should be less than 130/80, but when you are asleep, fast asleep, it should be less than 115/65. That is ideal blood pressure when you are sleeping. But there are a lot of limitations, and that's why it is not getting that much popularity. Number one, it's very cumbersome to measure that. It's very cumbersome. The provision of intermeasured measurement is not again continuous, because you cannot measure it continuously. And nocturnal blood pressure measure is also difficult, because when it just the cuff presses itself, it can disturb patient's sleep. In actual sense, many patients, when they are not put on ABPM, they may not have good sound natural sleep, and the blood pressure may be excessively high. So this is one of the biggest limitations. It causes a lot of discomfort to the patient. It's definitely more expensive compared to conventional method. And it does not gain much thing. This is another limitation. Majority patients, they are at home, and as I said, they are more stressed at home, and that causes more high blood pressure. So that's not real. It's the opposite of white coat blood pressure. Of course, if you use cuff here, it can control blood pressure very comfortably. That is for us, not for you people. Don't try to husbands or your boyfriends. Nowadays, as I said, people cannot get relaxed. And that is why you must see even your kids and your young people, 10 minutes they are on WhatsApp. Means we have just failed to learn how to be relaxed without the help of gadgets. And unfortunately, bad habits never dies. This is how people of 100 years ago were they waiting. This is today's patient generation. And you must see this is all over the world. Whether you're in America, India, even in villages, I see 80% young people on hooked to their gadgets. And instead of relieving tension, it actually increases tension. So the real blood pressure is one when there is no stress. This man is a cell officer and his blood pressure is going up because cell is going down. So this is what is happening. It's always opposite to it. And the real stress, less atmosphere is in paradise. Then there is no no stress. But there is no point going there to have normal blood pressure. Whenever you do blood pressure measurement, that's one of the most important. Of course, there are many laboratory tests that we must see, either to see with associated risk factors, comorbidities, or target organ damage. Like if patient has a normal blood pressure, but his ECG or echo is showing LVH, X is showing cardiomegaly, it means he may be having blood pressure off and on. So there are a lot of tests which can detect comorbidity or affection or complications of blood pressure. So, as for example, ECG, echocardiogram, carotid intima media thickness, these are few tests which we should ideally order at least once and then we'll follow up. Microalbuminuria also is very important because when you order a blood test, always order for urine microalbuminuria, because if there is microalbuminuria, it's one of the not only common risk factors but indicates early kidney damage, and this is the only condition where even in diabetic or renal patient blood pressure should be 10 degrees less compared to the conventional non-microalbumic patients. Of course, many doctors, when they see patient first, they try to squeeze out and monitor what is his neck balance rather than these important parameters. That is all hospitals, especially corporate hospitals, do it. Now another issue is hypertension Indian scenario. Unfortunately, diabetes we have world capital, but as far as blood pressure is concerned, that is also where India is going up, and almost 30% of Indian people, they have high blood pressure. Little higher in urban, but I am quite surprised to see 27% of rural population also have a high blood pressure. Maybe because now urban-rural divide is decreasing, and the lifestyle of rural people also more or less similar to that of urban people. That must be one of the main reasons. And this is an example of the prevalence of blood pressure. This is the most sad thing is, though 30% people are suffering from blood pressure, very few people, they are aware that they are suffering from blood pressure. Even if they are aware, only very few, half of them are treated, and only 10 to 20% are having adequate control of blood pressure. So you can imagine that only 10 to 20% they have blood pressure well controlled. So rest of them are going to succumb to some of the side effects which are otherwise easily preventable. The problem is we have multiple guidelines, and you cannot read it. Even if you read it, it's difficult to understand and remember. So the guidelines are very conflicting, they are very differing from each other, and they keep on changing from time to time. So it's very difficult to understand which guideline to follow. So we have to be very practical and individualistic. And as for example, see, different guidelines differ as far as threshold of blood pressure treatment is concerned or target blood pressure is concerned. But for simple reason, I would remember usually it should be less than 140, less than 90. There is no need to go into much more detail because unlike height or weight, it is not one fixed feature. Like today blood pressure may be 140 by 90, tomorrow will be 130 by 80, and day after will be 150 by 80. It's not a one fixed particular limit, and that is why to follow the guideline is not very practical in our day-to-day life. So you have to see more or less 140 by 90 is the limit. If patient is elderly, you can go up to 150, occasionally 160 if there is no target organ damage. On the other hand, patient has diabetes or has chronic renal failure with microalbuminuria, the limit can be reduced to 120 to 130. And this will keep on changing, so it's very difficult to know it. But you can understand how it has changed compared to what it was few years ago, few decades ago. This is the Indian guidelines. As far as management is concerned, if person is less than 55, they call it younger. If it is more than 55 is considered older. I consider anyone 5 years older to be older. My age or younger is younger. So guideline changes each year actually. So step 1 in India, if younger people, we first start with either AC inhibitors or 82 blockers, like as for example Ramiprid or Telmisartan or Losartan, any of the AC inhibitors, 82 blockers. So B means beta blockers. Indian guidelines, only guideline in which beta blockers is one of the stage 1 of step first treatment. In elderly people, it's either calcium channel blockers or diuretics. When one medicine doesn't work, you use the other one. If the second one doesn't work, you use the third one. If it doesn't work, you use fourth one. If all 4 do not work, then there are few less commonly used medicines like prazopressine or arcabinase, clonidine, so-called vasodilators can be added. If that also doesn't work, you need patient to be sent to specialist. Of course, if there is very young patient or very elderly patient who are not well controlled, we almost always do assessment in the form of renal artery Doppler, renal ultrasound, and try to look for secondary hypertension, which is present only in 5 to 10% patients. So Indian guidelines differ from all other guidelines in the, and probably European guidelines as well, that they consider beta blocker as one of the first one. American and British, they are totally against beta blockers because of some of the side effects seen in some of the trials. And the main reason is there are few trials where atenolol compared very poorly compared to losartan or amlodipine and other non-beta blocker medicines. Of course, the limitation of this trial is the first generation beta blockers. Now we have third generation beta blockers, and there are not much trials. And there are few trials which indicate nebivolol or carvedilol equally good or even better compared to other medications, and now it's high time that guidelines should include them, but at the moment they have not, because guidelines are few years behind the studies, and studies take many years. So there are many new studies which shows that third generation beta blockers with vasodilatory actions like nebivolol, for example, are retaining all the benefit of beta blocker minus the typical side effects and disadvantages or less of efficacy of beta blockers. I will not bore you with too many trials, but as it is mentioned in the brochure, these are two trials they asked me to talk to. One is Sprint and second is Hope, and I hope it will finish very fast. One is a Sprint trial, which is systolic blood pressure intervention trial, in which they put two groups compared with very aggressive blood pressure control, means less than 120, and second is 120 to 140, means not as aggressive. And then they found out, obviously, when the blood pressure is very markedly controlled, there were 25% less primary events, which include stroke, cardiac events, etc. So aggressive blood pressure control is helpful according to these trials. And that was seen at all age, both sex, all races, irrespective of baseline blood pressure, and even if patient has CVD or CKD or not, none of this. So they indicated Sprint trial that aggressive control of blood pressure reducing to around 120 is very effective. This is what they say. Of course, if more control is there, hypotensive symptoms are more. That is what they believe. I am not going to detail about methodology. But they recommended it, you should consider less than 120 as a normal blood pressure. They prefer chlorothalidone compared to chlorothiazide or hydrochlorothiazides. And amlodipine was the choice of calcium channel blocker. Now we have second, third generation cilnidipine, but it is not as effective. While first generation short-acting dihydropyridine like nifedipine is not considered to be as effective, or it may have not mortality benefit. So it's amlodipine which is considered preferred as per the Sprint trial. And they do not give beta blocker a great value. Another trial was Hope trial, which is again very funny trial actually to me, because this is trial where patient with multiple cardiovascular risk factors without blood pressure or at different patterns of blood pressure were given hydrochlorothiazide and candesartan, which is one of the 82 blockers, and see what is the effect. These are the pre-diabetic patients, the pre-hypertensive patients, and they found out there was not much benefit of giving this medicine, which is very obvious. Your blood pressure is normal, and if you give anti-hypertensive medicine, you are not going to get benefit. So it didn't show any major benefit. But when they do sub-analysis, they found out that if blood pressure was 140 or more to begin with, there was more benefit. Actually, this trial is done by Salim Yusuf, one of the top trialists in the world. But when you see trials, sometimes you feel whether they are really worth doing or not. I always feel it is very strange and stupid trial, but he got very much acclaim. Very much means in ACC and AHA and everywhere his lectures were there. So if pressure is normal blood pressure, giving blood pressure medicine doesn't help. If they have high blood pressure, it helps, which is very common sense. But that is what was probably conclusion. That is what it is seen in this trial. And these are the way he has measured it. There is no need to go in detail about how they measure the blood pressure. And in this trial, they found exactly opposite the Sprint trial. Why I show this two trials? They are exactly opposite. So what we have to see is guidelines, they keep on changing. They are too complicated. You have to be very common sense. You should learn from guidelines, but do not follow very blindly like Americans. See, in America, sometimes you feel they are idiots. If patient has heart attack and he comes after 6 hours and 1 minute is now, we cannot give thrombolytic because it's beneficial in first 6 hours. In Indians, we are very practical. If patient comes even after 7 hours, but his ongoing chest pain estimation, we still give it. There they are more worried about lawsuits and other things, so they follow guidelines so stringently, they don't use brain. While in Indians, we use brain. Like in last 2 days, you see how we use our brain. So Americans will pay the tax. They would not think of anything. We use our brain. That's true for medicine as well. Of course, there are special conditions like hypertension and CKD. In both the conditions, I am not going to detail about ECHO trial, but again the conclusion is, if patient has albuminuria, you have to keep blood pressure control little more aggressive. Instead of 140 by 90, it's less 130, 80 or less. That is the only thing. Then there are very few trials regarding chronopharmacology, means timing about blood pressure medicines. See, Cochrane is one of the biggest review about blood pressure medicines. But even in that review, you find that there was no trial which suggests what is the best timing of blood pressure medicine. Because now we have once a day medicine, whether you should give it morning hours or evening hours or afternoon, people don't know. Many people they take at their choice. I usually give it night because I thought side effects are less at night, effects are 24 hours, you don't have to bother to remember in the daytime. But many people like Jains, or there are some people who religious reasons, they always want to take in the mornings. So there are different reasons why people take it different times. Important issue is to take at one fixed time, maybe half hour plus or minus, but you should not jump one day morning, one day night. And there are 3 trials. These are the 3 trials in which the timing of blood pressure, whether to give in morning or evening, that is what is compared. And on an average, they found out that giving blood pressure medicine evening is more helpful because that prevents morning surge of blood pressure, stroke and early morning myocardial infarctions, and probably that is better options. And so don't be happy, it is not conclusion, but conclusion of some of the part of lecture is hypertension remains a very important condition of public health in India because 30% people are suffering. The method with which you measure blood pressure is very important. The blood pressure monitor also should be at the height of your heart rather than at this level. Ambulatory blood pressure monitoring new tool which has some specific indications, though there are some limitations as well, but you should use it judiciously in certain situations. There are too many trials, but on an average you should keep blood pressure less than 130 by 80, at the most 140 by 80. If this microalbumin, it should be more aggressive control. It doesn't matter which medicine you use as far as you are aware of the side effects. You should use judicious combination depending upon comorbid conditions, side effects, age of the patient, ethnicity, etc. I will not tell you the detail because there are only 1 or 2 physicians, so it's better you send me your patient for blood pressure. So you should know that it should be treated, that's all you should know. And why you select particular blood, there are so many reasons why you decide particular medicines. So that depends upon basic research, trials, meta-analysis, guidelines, review articles. These are reasons why you select particular medicine against particular medicines. Of course, in India, cost, side effects and comorbid conditions are very important. I would consider these 3 as still most important factors. If some trial says this medicine is number 1 medicine, but your patient can't tolerate, you can't give it, and you should not give it. And that is typically happens when stupid NRI people come. Not people, NRI people are stupid. They are American doctors. They feel that if you give 20 milligram of, say, let's say Ramiprazole will keep blood pressure under control. Or heart failure patient will be under control. The patient comes with blood pressure 80, but still they give high animal-like dose, big dose. The moment you reduce patients are away, so what I have to say, you must see doses according to patient's tolerance, because that is the first and the most important reason why you should see. And that is why I see the beta blockers went initially out of favor because there are too many side effects. And that is why. But see, if you see new generation side effects, there are certain side effects which are not seen. So don't worry about side effects. But if side effects are there, don't give particular medicines. Unfortunately, all medicine side effects, AC inhibitors, amlodipine, diuretics, you see they have side effects. So you have to select, like diuretics is one of the first and essential medicine in American atmosphere. But in India, in summer, if you give diuretics, your patient will get dehydrated, hyponatremia, and many other electrolyte disturbances. So you cannot just directly imbibe what they do in their own trials or studies. You have to judiciously use. So in many of my patients, I give diuretics 2 or 3 times a week, only in summer, winter month, but not in summer month. You have to adjust as per the situations which are not mentioned in any of the guidelines. And always there are new medicines which has some versatility, but that not necessarily that newer is better. But as far as beta blocker is concerned, newer is better and is more versatile. And as a doctor, we are probably the only good people who stress on prevention, even if it means we reduce our number of patients. You see what police do. Have you ever seen police standing in front of no entry zone? They always stand at the other end. Because they are not interested in preventing crime, they are interested in catching the people who have done the crime. Well, we doctors are only one who tell people prevent blood pressure control, do the blood pressure control, prevent heart attack, prevent stroke. That is what we actually believe and we should believe. I think I'll just stop here.
Question now.
Very simple question. It's okay. It's okay. Everybody will be. So about measurement of blood pressure with a sphygmomanometer, you said dial 1 is better than mercury 1. What about the digital one people are using now? How is the accuracy and what to use?
Digital one is good for lay people. As a doctor, we should not use the digital one. But digital will give a trend about the blood pressure. Only side effect or problem is patient should come with digital at least once or twice in a month and see that it is more or less similar to that of doctor's clinic. Number two, over measure of blood pressure also causes tension. People who purchase that digital, they will measure 3 times a day, and that will increase the blood pressure further. So you should not overuse it. But it is definitely a good tool. It will definitely alert patient if it's too high or too low. Like if the digital is 200, he has to immediately rush to the doctor if he is feeling absolutely fine.
Accuracy may be a problem.
I don't know, but it's not considered standard by the authorities to use by doctors.
Dial 1 is okay.
Dial 1 is okay. But dial 1 is the one where you need stethoscope.
And you need
this.
Do you still believe that 100 plus age criteria or rough idea of upper limit?
It's a very rough idea because in past they used to say if you are 70-year-old, 170 is acceptable. But now even if you are elderly, your blood pressure should be less than 150 or 160. So that is only partially correct. See, the only thing is patient's blood pressure is 170 systolic and diastolic is very low. And when you try to reduce that systolic, you produce hypotensive symptoms, then it is not good because that will cause more problems, side effects, fall infections, and then every orthopedic surgeon. That is better to send patient to cardiologists and orthopedics. So prevent fractures, that's first thing. And number two, there are many people who stiff central aorta. So whatever you do, blood pressure may not go down further, then you have to accept it. But ideally, yes, it should not be more than 160 at any age, even at age of 80.